During his trip to the United States, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi has been trumpeting a narrative that India's democracy is under threat and the future of India's minorities is in danger, calling himself the flag bearer of Mohabbat. He said that the Modi government and the BJP are only spreading hatred in the country. It's ironic then that the same BJP government and the country as a whole has decided to stand up to the glorification of the assassins of Indira Gandhi. Not because she is the grandmother of Rahul Gandhi, but because she was the Prime Minister of our country. And that's the reason why today the BJP decided to show a mirror to Rahul Gandhi asking, what do you gain by standing on foreign soil and criticizing your country?
मोहब्बत है हिंदुस्तान को एकजुट रखना। मोहब्बत है हर वर्ग, हर समुदाय, हर धर्म, हर जाति, हर भाषा, हर वेशभूषा, हर संस्कृति का सम्मान करना। मोहब्बत है हिंदुस्तान की विविधता को बनाए रखना, अनेकता में एकता ढूंढना। मोहब्बत है कि जब हमारे देश की बेटियां प्रताड़ित की जाएं तो आंखों पर पट्टी ना बांध लेना। मोहब्बत है कि जब हमारे देश के सबसे डेकोरेटेड एथलीट्स को सड़कों पर घसीटकर पीटा जाए तो पार्लियामेंट से अपनी पिक्चर ट्वीट करके उसके रिप्लाई ना छुपा लेना।
ये कैसी मोहब्बत है जो सिखों का नरसंहार करे? ये कैसी मोहब्बत है जो कोयला लूटे, चारा लूटने वालों के साथ हाथ मिलाए? ये कैसी मोहब्बत है जो सिंगोल का अपमान करे? ये कैसी मोहब्बत है जो अपने ही पार्लियामेंट का बहिष्कार करे? ये कैसी मोहब्बत है जो तब नहीं बोलती जब केरला स्टोरी आती है? ये कैसी मोहब्बत है जो चुप हो जाती है जब राजस्थान में महिला के खिलाफ रेप की गतिविधि बढ़ती है? ये कैसी मोहब्बत है जो उनसे हाथ मिलाती है, उनको गले लगाती है जो हिंदुस्तान को कोसते हैं?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, joining us on the debate, Shazia Almi, spokesperson of the BJP, Sushant Sareen, senior fellow at ORF, Sanjay Jha, author, Dr. Suman Raman and Nikhil Jain, both political analysts. My first question is to Sushant Sareen. Today, it's basically boiled down to Dr. Jaishankar saying that, listen, you should resolve your differences in your own country. But the Congress always counters that with, what about the Prime Minister saying on foreign soil that for 70 years India has seen no development? Is there really any charge or is there really any substance in the argument that we should keep our fights to ourselves?
Yeah, in an ideal world, you should keep your fights to yourself. But the problem is that if the Congress party thinks that what Prime Minister Modi said is inappropriate and should not have been said, then are they helping matters by actually repeating that folly? Or are they saying that, no, that wasn't a folly and that is why they are going to keep following the template? The same question, of course, would go to the other side, that should you be talking about, because look, let's face it, Padmaja, the fact of the matter is that India was not built in the last 10 years. India has been built over the last 75 years. Perhaps the pace of the building of the nation was not what it should have been. Perhaps a lot of mistakes were made. Even if you grant all of that, the fact is that everybody has contributed something into building of the nation. So yes, I don't think you should diss previous governments when you go abroad. But I think Mr. Gandhi has taken this to the next level. And the way he's not just taking pot shots at the government, he's actually starting to question, basic Indian ethos when he goes abroad. Because maybe the kind of stuff he talks about, I personally find it very inappropriate. The kind of people he hobnobs with, for example, this IAMC and some of these other disreputable characters. I feel as an Indian citizen, I feel rather offended when he does something like this. His inanities are his problem. But I think some of the stuff he says when he goes abroad is highly inappropriate. The only thing is that I don't think any amount of criticism makes a difference to him. It's water off a duck's back. Simply because I think he feels that this is what gets him traction. This is what perhaps wins him friends abroad. This is what makes people outside India find some utility in him. And if that means that, he's taking pot shots at his own country, so be it. That seems to be the plan.
Mr. Sanjay Shah?
Why would you interact with rabidly anti-India elements, for example, in the UK? People like Jeremy Corbyn, a whole lot of other people, right? Why would you do something like that?
Why would you do that? Here on the one hand, you've got Rahul Gandhi in the United States saying democracy is dead in India, and the entire country and its government stands up against another country, Canada, because they are denigrating our former Prime Minister. They are valorizing her assassins. Clearly, that is a robust democracy where, irrespective of political differences, you stand up for your former Prime Minister. Sanjay Jha.
Padmaja, I don't know whether people are aware, but the international headlines in several, I am not talking about just the digital platforms, but in newspapers all over the world, on their front page and inside pages talked about how the Delhi police brutalized women wrestlers who are champions of India because they were protesting against sexual harassment against a BJP member of parliament. And India's Prime Minister, of course, as usual, was extraordinarily silent. I mean, that image, by the way, is an insult to what this country stands for. I want to make a statement on your show today that I believe that if there is any political party in our history that has damaged India's civilizational ethos, our great religious diversity, our great national character, it is the Bharatiya Janata Party. And it is about time we called it out. I mean, India has been making news, Padmaja, since 2014, mostly for lynching violence, religious persecution, hate speeches, and a prime minister who obviously looks the other way because he's a master of dog whistling.
As opposed to the Indian American Muslim Council, which is hailing India's civilizational ethos. And which is also hosting Mr. Gandhi in the United States.
Well, let me give you an example. The US State Department, no less, official government statement, and by the way, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has said it himself, have talked about the culture of religious and political persecution of opponents.
Mr. Jha, you're dancing around every question. I started by asking you. You said that India was a basket case when it comes to democracy, and yet, like a robust democracy, we have bipartisan support for Canada's gesture, or rather against Canada's gesture. My second question was about how you say, minorities or India's civilizational ethos is being destroyed by the BJP. IAMC is no upholder of that ethos either. Quick rebuttal from Sushant Sareen. Then I want to bring in Shazia Almi.
Yeah, I think, Padmaja, India's ethos was kept very much intact in 1969 when over 2,000 Muslims were killed in Gujarat. India's ethos has been kept intact when under secular governments, there were riots in Meerut, Moradabad, Malyana, Bhagalpur, Bhiwandi, Bombay. I can give riot after riot. So for these guys to pretend as though they were the upholders, of course, and not to mention the pogrom which was carried out in Delhi and other parts of India in 1984. That was upholding India's ethos when the Prime Minister of the time said that when a big tree falls, the earth shakes, and justified the massacre of thousands of Sikhs on that basis. Now, if that is India's ethos, Mr. Sanjay Jha is welcome to that.
But before you counter, Shazia Almi, the Congress was also saying that just because Rahul Gandhi has got this kind of reception in the United States, 10 days before the Prime Minister lands there, it's making you nervous. That's why this consolidated attack on him and his Mohabbat Ki Dukaan.
Well, this whole talk of Mohabbat Ki Dukaan is such a joke. I mean, one would think earlier that Rahul Gandhi is deluded. But I don't think he's deluded. I think he is deliberately deceptive, duplicitous, and he uses this strategy. He thinks he's shocking and awing people, but he's evoking only disdain and disgust. Because not only is he wrong on facts, he's denigrating India and India's institutions abroad and India's democracy. And also the Indian way to be. And because they are, I mean, in the majority religion of India is Hinduism, when you make fun of the Prime Minister lying prostrate or doing a Shashtang Naman, you do make fun of the Indian way to be. You can have a problem with the Hindu way to be, but it is definitely one of the, and a predominant way of the Indian way to be. But contrast this with the present government, the foreign minister of which condemns the glorification of the assassins of Indira Gandhi, who are being valorized, and also warning Canada in gentle but firm terms, unambiguously, that there is no need to shield separatists and extremists, and taking up for a former Prime Minister, keeping in mind the dignity of India and all of his office bearers, and who all have held the highest office of India, including somebody we've had political differences with. Now, this is the difference
between that's the difference.
The two parties and the way they conduct themselves on foreign soil.
About real-life manifestation of Mohabbat and Nafrat.
On the basis of facts, and
Nikhil
everybody can judge it for what it is.
See, can I come in? Yeah. So first of all, Padmaja, I feel sometimes that the Smriti Irani starer Kyuki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi makes more sense than the minister herself. I don't understand the kind of irrelevant rhetoric that she is making. When Rahul Gandhi says that मैं मोहब्बत की दुकान खोलने आया हूँ, he is obviously referring to the current atmosphere of hate and communalism in the country, with which he and the Congress party is constantly fighting.
Did you just say that Smriti Irani is being rhetorical while defending Mohabbat Ki Dukaan? That is pretty rhetorical as well.
Absolutely.
But anyway.
Absolutely. While attacking Mohabbat Ki Dukaan. Absolutely. And secondly, when we're talking about this whole game of an Indian politician going abroad and criticizing the Indian government, I think we are attacking the very ethos of democracy. We're attacking the very ethos of democracy. To be democratic is to be able to criticize one's government, whether Narendra Modi did it in Korea and other parts of the world against the Congress-run governments, or whether Rahul Gandhi is doing it today against the current BJP government. There's nothing wrong in that, and the entire issue that the BJP likes to create out of it is out of sheer jealousy, because Rahul Gandhi is somebody who's getting invites from all these prominent and prestigious universities of the world, while
but Sushant Sareen is saying that it is more insidious than that. It is not just about the things that he says. It is more insidious than that. Sushant Sareen.
Yeah, it is much more insidious because it's part of what you might call a kind of a sustained propaganda campaign. You know, some people suffer from a deep inferiority complex that because New York Times has written something. Let's talk about, if I want to be a drain inspector, as far as American society is concerned, I can do it exceedingly well. For example, I don't know if the other two gentlemen on this program endorsed this fact, which is this phenomena of genital mutilation of little children in the US, and in the name of, gender neutrality or whatever else nonsense they call it. Do you think that is the right thing to do? But is that your definition of how a society should work? Now, if I oppose it and you level allegations against me, how does that work? Now, I can give you multiple instances of racial problems in the US. I can give you multiple instances of how law and order is being completely blown to the smithereens in the US.
I'm waiting for that.
What does that mean? So if you want to, it is what Mahatma Gandhi said. If you want to give a drain inspector's report, yeah, who says India is perfect? Huge number of problems in India. But if your definition of a successful political leader in India is that he gets invited to some fancy university in the US, okay, fine. If that's your definition of a successful political leader, even though he goes and opposes his country, he peddles a kind of a negative propaganda of your country. For example, Padmaja, just half a sentence.
Yeah.
On this whole issue of this guy, journalist being arrested for spying in India, his colleague, one passes the judgment that the arrest was made in a very cavalier manner. Did he study the charge sheet? Did he study the FIR under which that guy was arrested? Now, Mr. Gandhi could have very easily played it that, look, yes, I think there is a problem of media freedoms in India, but I think the case you are talking about does not fit into that. What he did was he used the case as a segue into blasting India. Did he need to do that? Either he is utterly ill-informed and has no statecraft and he doesn't know how to handle these questions, or he does it deliberate. You take your pick.
All right, I'm going to leave it at that. The good thing though is, and I can safely say that is a sign of a healthy democracy, that in saying that Canada has no business glorifying the assassins of an Indian Prime Minister, all of India and all of its robust democracy is unanimous. Thanks very much all gentlemen, Shazia Almi, for joining me. Thanks for watching.